Here he comes.
He's all right. He's all right.
He's okay. He's okay. Let him put it up there on the hill.
Yep. Oh boy.
Nice job.
Perfect.
Nice job.
The CPS team are back in Nepal again for another Everest skydive expedition and are preparing to fly from a hilltop above Kathmandu city to Lukla Airport, the world's most dangerous airport and the gateway to Mount Everest. The mission of the team is to test the limits of the CPS parachutes and to see how they perform in the Himalayas, the world's highest and harshest environment. One of the objectives of this year's mission is to replicate what was achieved in 2019 when the CPS team achieved the world's highest parachute landings at altitudes above 20,000 feet. The CPS mission starts when they land at Lukla Airport and continue to walk another 3 days through the high altitude to reach Shangboche Airfield, the first drop zone.
All right, guys, the rest of the guys are coming in via helicopter. We just took a 45-minute flight from Kathmandu via helicopter here to Lukla Airport, which you can see behind me, which is the most dangerous airport in the world. We're watching otters twin otters take off and arrive. It's pretty interesting to see. I can only imagine the different view from the airplane, but one of the most beautiful helicopter rides I've ever taken. The scenery is it's awe-inspiring, and I didn't have to wear night vision, so win-win.
Tom, what's happening here?
Traffic jam.
Huh?
Traffic's piling up here. Oh, we're on a bridge.
This morning is the longest hike, also the highest change in elevation for us, about 6 hours. So we'll depart here, enter the Everest National Forest, and then continue on to Namche, which is the highest city in the world. And is shaped in a bowl. So I'm excited to see that. But how do you climb Everest? One step at a time. I'm a little sore from yesterday, a little bit of a wake-up call. Feeling a lot better this morning. And then lastly, the guys got news that a skydiving icon, actually who sort of pioneered the Everest skydiving jumps, Tom Noonan, passed away. It's impacting the team. Also, Tom and I were planning something for January of 2023 with a guy named Andy Stumpf and Nick Cush. But just shows you how you've got to be extremely careful in this sport. Even the most experienced guys like Tom run into issues, and I have my experience is nowhere near Tom's or these guys. So a bit of a wake-up call.
I mean, we're doing something right here, guys. It's going to be overwhelming. You're going to be, experiencing anxiety and stuff. And that's why we want to understand and be able to control the whole process. All right? So understand what we're doing. It's not something that everybody does. It's a special, unique thing. We're a chosen group of people that are blessed to be here and have the experience. And we want to work together to be successful and have a good time.
We just hiked up from Namche to Shangboche drop zone, and this elevation is about 12,000 feet, a little over 12,000 feet. It's a really long runway, and it slopes downhill just a little bit, so our plan is to land at that last third, and it's a really, really open area for our first drop zone.
I'm ready to get under a wing and land. DZ's long and clean, not very many big boulders or any hazards on the actual landing strip. So, I'm excited.
Good to be back. This is a really great introduction to landing parachutes in the Himalayas. Real good opening in terms of the visual stimulation, seeing mountains under canopy really up close, snowy peaks, 7,000 meter peaks, yet still having to then get your focus on your landing pattern and nailing it, which is what we hope everyone's going to do.
It's humbling. You also feel very fortunate that we have this opportunity to be here. There's a lot of people that deserve to be here and see this for themselves, but this is spiritual, to say the least.
So we're at Xiangboche Airfield. It's our first drop zone here. Today is an auspicious day to do the puja. The puja is the prayer ceremony so that we make sure that we have the blessings and the permissions from the gods to do whatever we're doing out here. And so basically this would be the start of the expedition. And whenever there is any big endeavor or big venture that we go on, we do a puja. So whether that's climbing a mountain, getting married, or anything, skydiving, we do a puja so that the whole event is blessed and that everybody's safe. This is very important for the Sherpas because the Sherpas are devoutly Buddhist, and nature itself is sentient. It is home to the deities, and so it's important for us to make sure that all the deities are pleased and we have their blessings before we do anything. Basically what we're doing is blessing ourselves, so all the members of the expedition, everybody that's involved, the equipment, so that we have all corners covered. Yeah.
Okay guys, so we're standing right here at the end of the runway, and you can see it's still a little bit before it completely drops off into the valley. But eventually, there's a trail that goes around the ridge here on up the valley, and from that trail, it's a hard drop, okay? You wouldn't be standing up on a landing over there.
Before we got here, when Fred was showing us those landing videos, he was talking about that tower in particular, using it as a hard reference, using the ridgeline as your handrail and using that tower as you're turning onto base. The terrain is going to do nothing but go away from you. So the lower that you can get and the closer you can get to that tower, running on your downwind leg, turning, kind of not danger close above it, but maybe 50 feet above it, turning that nice flat turn to base and then flat turn to final should give you just enough of that to land right down here at the target. And guys, another reason for that half-braked flight mode as we come in and staying tight to our target is we know from Colorado and just alpine environments in general that the weather can change on the drop of a hat. So you don't want to get yourself stuck on that side of the ridge and the wind picks up, and now when you're turning onto base, you're stuck. So that's why we're going to have that safety of staying close to our target. Being in a braked flight mode, we can go faster, we can go slower. The winds pick up, we take full flight. Now we're closer to our target and we're not getting pushed over the ridge.
One last point about multiple jumps is it's very likely that the conditions will be different. On the second jump, particularly if we've got sunshine, you'll get more lift, more wind, and more turbulence. And so don't expect necessarily it to be an identical pattern. Keep treating that jump as if it's your first jump.
Yeah, what we teach in the course, right? Assess, respond, and evaluate. We should be doing that all the time on every jump, man. It should just be like, I'm taking in information, right? And I'm making adjustments to that. And then how did that affect it? Once we start jumping, what we'll do is we'll send up a load with Dr. Jackson, Dakota, and Hugh. And we'll ensure that they all three have good separation so I can sit down here on the ground with the other jumpers and watch each person make their approach and talk to the group on the ground about what they're doing, what they're going through, and what they're experiencing. So they'll see a group of experienced jumpers jump before they ever make a jump up here.
Marks on the red hose with a number, both in numbers and words, okay? So this is yours to keep clean, keep tidy, keep you knowing where it is for the entire expedition. Make sure you always have all parts of the components of the straps and you don't leave any on the helmet. I only want to hear from you if it's damaged, broken, problem, which means I don't want to hear from you. Any questions?
No questions.
Perfect.
Okay. Hand them out.
Load one.
Load one. Hunter, get yours. If you guys would, set your accumulator and your mask down with your own gear, and then let's say in 5 minutes we're out at the helicopter.
Hey, Ryan.
So good morning all. I'm a jump pilot, as he already said. So I'm sure you are, all of you are quite aware of helicopter operations. Like this 350 or all helicopters, it's mostly like same kind of thing. So this is a French-made AS 350. Now they call it AS 125 helicopters with 5 capacity. It can go up to 7,000 meters. Like this generic jump. And for our jump, we have prepared like just improvise something like the remote seats. Like because with the seats it will be more endurance to get it out of the helicopters. Like to prepare jump yourself. And no seats, no headsets, and we need to rely on our hand signal communication. So like there last time we used, and it was quite efficient, the hand signals. So like for hand signaling drop zone, like before racing, I'll set the 3 minutes first, so that you can prepare yourself. First signal it's gonna be 3 minutes, and the second one it's gonna be 1 minute. So second one, you can open the door, like you can get it out, prepare yourself for the jump. And the third one, it's going to be thumbs up. So thumbs up means everything is good to go.
This is your time to rehearse. Don't blow this off. Take your time. We're going to do it. We're going to stay on the ground until everybody feels comfortable in all 3 typical positions, okay? Usually, we're going to have the jump master sitting facing to the rear, watching out for the equipment with his pack facing forward, okay? And then the other 2 guys will be facing this way. This is your chance. Get into every single position, because today you might not be sitting in this position, but tomorrow you might, or up at Ama de Blanc, okay? As we go through. Every single person, open and close this door. This is not yank this thing, slam it open, and be He-Man going for it, all right? This is a delicate piece of equipment, so be careful with it, okay? Look at your snag hazards on here. Yep. There are some serious snag hazards. Watch your pilot chutes, okay? If you're going to scoot on the deck here, look at what you have to come across. Look at what you're going to stand on. Practice your exits. All right, our time warnings, guys. Here's some things to look for. 3 minutes, he may not be way out there. He may get out of the mindset of fixed wing, flattened level, 4 minutes out, right? He's dipping and dodging around these hills out there.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, and I'd like everybody to kind of follow along, is we're going to stay up here. These guys are going to get geared up. We're going to go out to the aircraft, do the final checks. I want everybody to watch that. When these guys take off, we'll walk down to the landing area. Okay? Good. Let's go do it, guys.
Let you comfortable with that. Then you can do your chest strap if you want.
Friction strap on chest strap. Cutaway hand is clear. Friction back is good. Friction back is good. Reserve handle. Frame clear. Gearing's on this side.
I can adjust that.
Speedometer's at 0. We are 0 down. Frame clear. Pin. Touch all your handles.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We were on our first jump in Nepal, and we both were on the load with Ryan Jackson as the videographer. I was to get out of the aircraft first, so we get 3 minute. Very shortly after, we get a 1 minute, and we turn on a jump run, and we're like, that was kind of fast. So me and Ryan are already kind of like looking at each other like the lost dog, kind of tilting our head. And then the door opens, and we're like, oh, okay, there's some very small clouds that are just off the airport, down on the kind of the valley's edge. And it's the early morning, so the clouds are moving up, but they were very thin, very thin. I mean, even in their darkest points when I was getting out, I could see through pretty clearly.
They can still see through this.
You know, from the ground, I was standing on the ground, and this little patch on the knoll, no, it just like started to expand, and right down where we have the target down here, I mean, very quickly, like 10, 15 seconds, it was like boom. And I just saw it growing, and I turned around to Dawa and I said, you need to tell them they need to get the helicopter over the drop zone and get out. And so Dawa immediately started talking to the pilot, and that's why, you know, 3 minute call turned into a 15-second 1 minute call. And then it was an immediate like, hey, thumbs up, open the door, get out type thing. And very rapidly, I mean, conditions deteriorated. They were out of the airplane. You know, they all had great exits. Boom, they're out, they're flying. But this little cumulus piece that was stuck right here on the knoll, where the airport, the museum, and the hillside start, it just rapidly expanded. And these guys are out at the airplane. We could barely see Ryan and him make it through. And then we lost sight of everything. I mean, these guys.
So as Hunter is following Ryan down, Ryan's picking this hole, flying a little bit smaller parachute, and they were able to find this steeple over on the northwest side of the LZ, and I couldn't see nothing. I could only see Namche, and I could see the
you were up at the other
launch.
end of the airfield.
Yep.
You were on the southwest side of the airfield.
Southwest side, yep.
Yep. And Ryan and Hunter stayed, and we're talking about the sides of this little cumulus in relation to where we're at. And Dakota took the high road, so he was out here around the Namche and the town, and this little valley over here. And then Hunter and Ryan, they tried to scoot in, because the one thing that these guys could see when I looked at their videos, they could see the Pinja Lodge and the end of the runway.
For most
right
of the
up,
time.
yeah, right up till the last probably 1,000 feet of your flight time.
Yeah, it was about 1,500 feet as I was making my way into the clouds. As I was getting into the clouds, I was trying to find a nice lighter bit of clouds where it seemed like there was a little bit of a hole, maybe a little less of a layer that I could kind of punch through a little faster. So as I'm approaching the clouds, I pick a spot. Before I go into the clouds, I'm trying to take as many references from the big mountains to the stupel that I could just barely catch a grasp of before I went into the clouds. I was using the Kumju Valley as another great identifier. And as soon as I went into the clouds, though, it was thick. I couldn't see from 10 feet in front of me. I would have to guess. So I got into a nice little bit of half brake, slowed everything down. And I wanted to maintain a position. I felt like I was at a good position just on the northern edge of the airfield, close to where I needed to be starting my landing pattern. So just under 1,000 feet, I get into half brakes, nice flat, slow 360, because really can't see much. So slowed it down. And then once I come out of the clouds, I noticed I had gotten pushed a little further north, kind of over the ridge. So as I come out of the clouds, I roll out over a stupel, which is just a religious, monument on the ground. And I was probably maybe 150, 200 feet above it. And I immediately knew where I was, and I was over that northern ridge. So I immediately did a nice flat turn to the south. There was a nice grass field as a secondary out that I had as opportunity. I rode the far side of it so I could turn in on a nice final if I needed to use it, but I still had 200 or 300 feet right as I was getting to the edge of that, which was really close to the edge of the airport, with a little bit more descent on the ground.
The ground's falling away from you the whole way you're flying.
Correct. So I'm kind of earning back a little bit of altitude as much as I'm dropping because the ground's descending away. And then I finally make it to where I wanted to initially line up on final, right around 250 feet, line up on my target, slowly get into full flight and get ready for landing. And then, of course, right as I land, I knew that it had only gotten thicker. It had only gotten worse behind me. Big lesson learned on that one. We had clouds coming up the valley. We didn't think they were moving as fast as they were. Ryan definitely pointed at it and kind of showed his cautions. But I thought we would be good. As soon as the canopy opened, the clouds were over the drop zone. So we started spiraling, trying to make game on getting down before the clouds completely covered the whole hillside here. Singbuche, down to Namche, all the way down the valley. It's covered. So, poor decision on us getting out. Big lesson learned. Definitely won't repeat that one again. Okay? Yeah, I'm good. Just hope Dakota's okay. I think he is. Looked pretty controlled. He had the wing nice and level over his head. He made a side hill landing just north of the drop zone here.
As soon as I realized you were making it, I was like, where's Dakota now? And I was like, it's going to take a second or two, but we were just all looking, and I don't know why, but we were looking in this direction, and sure enough, I mean, the clouds, the ground, the lodge, it was all one. There was
no
clouds
gap
all the way to the ground, different layers of thickness, but probably I'd say about 40, 50 feet, we caught you, coming through, and you went into this breaky flat thing, and then before you knew it, you were down, and I think Hugh had binoculars. Jed, you?
Yep.
And he's already up on his feet. They were already glassing you, and you were just up on your feet, and then somebody said, yeah, there's other people around him, and I was just good, we're good to go. I walked away for a minute, and went that's the first jump of this expedition. Surely things are going to get a little better from this point here.
What happened here, Mike? That was a nail biter. So when they took off, and it only takes about 10 minutes to get to altitude, they jumped at about 7K AGL above the drop zone. It was clear. And then all of a sudden, you can see a layer comes out. I mean, we saw them open, we counted 3 canopies, and all of a sudden, a layer comes over the drop zone. And so we couldn't find the canopies, and eventually 2 canopies emerged here out of the layer. As you can see, this cloud layer is only about a few hundred feet. And then the third jumper couldn't see the DZ. He identified an out and landed on the side of the hill in a grass patch. He's okay, he's flicking out his canopy, but that just shows you that's how quickly conditions here can change on a dime. So this is no joke. And so we'll probably be in a hold until we get clear skies again. Hopefully this cloud layer goes away.
That's all I could see was the lodge.
Yeah, no, that's what I went for. Nice you guys talked about that.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's my mistake.
Yeah.
You moved in a lot quicker than we thought. We were trying to get you out of the bird's house. Hang on, I got you. We were trying to get you out of the bird sooner.
Yeah, so I stayed over the helipad. I could see the helipad really well. I could see the other cloud closing in on the, looked like this was socked in and just staying here, not even moving.
Oh, it was all moving real quick, but.
So I just stayed over the helipad, and I could see my second out was the lodge. And once the helipad socked in, I knew I was 750 feet. I'm like, fuck, I'm getting close to something. I knew I set my altimeter here. I knew I was the lodge about 250 feet higher than here. So picked the lodge, landed side hill, and peel left. And now I'm here to talk about it with you guys.
Nice.
So, did everyone else make it?
Everybody's good, dude. Good. They made the runway.
Right.
You were the only one who landed out. So.
I'm gonna go hug my brother.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, when you look back at what we did, it's another validation of the training methods and techniques and instruction that we do. I mean, you guys did what you were trained to do and
Kept us safe.
it could have very easily went the other way, but it didn't. You remained calm. You kept giving input, assessing what you were getting, and staying focused the whole time. I mean, I think that's what brought you through it.
Constant as the 3 words, as Fred says: assess, respond, and evaluate. And it just kept I just kept responding to what the
Just
data
running
I
through
was
that
getting.
cycle. Yeah.
And you know what? There I was on the ground on top of the hill, though.
No, it was a great time.
I've been working with CPS for quite some time on the TS Heavy. This is a project that they've been doing for the Department of Defense to increase the current capability of tandem systems that are fielded now. And the biggest capability we're looking for to increase is the total suspended weight underneath of the canopy. So currently, the fielded systems are about 650 pounds. Total suspended weight is the limit. So this project that CPS has been working on with the tandem system heavy, hopefully we get to a point where the capability is upwards of 850 total suspended weight, 850 pounds. So I've been jumping the main canopy with very heavy equipment suspended below me at relatively high DZs. I've jumped the reserve canopy, the intended reserve canopy, with some heavy loads in the United States. And then next it brought us here to Nepal to validate tandem passenger jumps in landing at these very high elevations. And I gotta be honest with you, it performed tremendous throughout the whole validation process, but specifically here, we had some great successes. Shingbuche, roughly 12,000 feet above sea level, and then here, on this DZ here at Amanda Blanc Base Camp, 15,000-ish above sea level. So it's really doing well in this validation process. One of the things that we were doing here with the tandem was we had 2 people, and it's not very heavy. So I had a very big canopy with a relatively light load. Now, the other canopies, the smaller MP330s, their wing loading, their total suspended weight in relation to their canopy, they had a little bit more performance. I was lighter, so I had a lighter wing loading. So those guys actually had way better performance aspects. So I was on the lighter side of wing loading with that tandem. I think everybody would agree that everything happens a lot faster. But with canopies, we understand that the faster we're going, the more performance we have, the more efficient we can get. And no difference with that tandem canopy. Now that main canopy that I've been jumping is 500 square feet, so it's pretty darn big. But in these elevations, I was able to get some power down in the end there and get really into the flares. I was able to plane it out. So it reacted really well up here.
All right, welcome to Amanda Blanc Base Camp. All right, good news is it's only about 1/3 of the population that we normally deal with. And we've been able to take over this whole area that we normally use as our landing area.
Covering the holes with the help of the whole team to make sure that everybody has the safest potential landing up in the mountain environment. You don't always get this lucky and have time to build it and make your DZ nice, but we've had some weather today. We moved up here today, so it's given us some freedom to clean up the DZ a little bit.
Make it our own. We're just setting up the drop zone, putting up some wind indicators for ourselves.
That's awesome.
Everybody's talking about strategies and what the wind's doing.
Yeah.
It's good for the guys to start thinking about it, creating those mental images. It's good. You gotta have the right pole. I think that pole might go over to that one.
As I was saying, this landing area, I really like this landing area because it makes you up your game, okay? Small, tight area, it makes everybody step up, and we just need to think about, you know, the techniques we've been taught, right? Keeping the wing level, slowing things down, our sight pictures, right? Our reference points. It was a great example 2 days ago of guys having reference points on the ground actually save their ass, right? So today, I want you guys to walk the landing area, and there's lanes, you know, that are better than others. You know, if we're dealing with this wind direction, setting up on that side of the geo chow tent and running that out in a straight line into the wind is probably your longest lane that you have here.
Amana Blam base camp drop zone. Really excited to get this thing set up. We got some of the big obstacles cleared out of the way. We walked the drop zone a little earlier to make sure that we all comfortable with it. Can't wait for tomorrow morning. We get to jump right in front of this massive mountain. I'm ready. Look at this beautiful morning. How can we not be ready? So right now we're about to do our first jump at Amana Blam drop zone. It's 15,000 foot elevation. We're gonna send the first load up with some experienced jumpers just so we can demonstrate a proper pattern for this drop zone. We started in Colorado jumping at high altitudes, 8,000 feet, 10,000 feet. Then we moved over here to Nepal. We jumped in Sangbuche. It's about 12,000 feet. We jumped there for a couple of days. Everybody got a couple of jumps each. And then now we're moving up even higher up the mountain.
Jump a new piece of equipment to a lot of us, which is an airbag, which is a system that we can sit on as we come into land if they have a hard landing or a fast landing. Myself and Darwa used it yesterday on the tandem, and I was blown away by how effective it was. So interested to see in a single configuration what it's like.
Solo or tandem. It's a compressed bag while in free fall, and then you deploy it under canopy. It's ram air. It inflates very similar to how the canopies inflate, and it fills a little bag up underneath of you, and it gives you a little bit of added protection to the jumpers when they're jumping in specifically confined spaces that are fouled with, whether they're rocks or divots or tuffets of grass or something like that in these this austere environment landings.
All right, so when we wear these airbags, yeah, we have them. We have the routing of the closing sequence that goes to our crotch. That's the easiest way to identify how we're wearing these things. I like to connect my little quick RSL snaps to my hip rings first, and then I route my leg straps. Not really important to have them too tight. I like having a little bit of movement so you can tell mine are nice and loose. Exit goes as normal. Do expect a little push from your legs, right? It's kind of like having a mini little wingsuit, tracking suit between your legs. So expect a little push. Personally thinking about it, I'm probably going to stay a little more vertical on exit, knowing that that's going to give me a little push on my bottom end. Once canopy opens, fly as normal, around 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet. All we're going to do is we're going to yank on this left golf ball, and you can see it starting to fall down, right? There's a little weight right here that'll start opening that pocket, which will ram it full of air. And notice, it's kind of staying shut right now. So you kind of take your legs, pinch the material, and just kind of kick it out a little bit, or just give it a little push. Sometimes you can just open your legs as well, really exposing that vent, and that also works really well. That's my first go-to. check it, try it with a leg if I can't get it inflated. You can feel it back behind your legs, especially if you lift your legs up under canopy. And then the trick is, we always teach keep your legs together, right, for landing. If we have this and we're gonna utilize it, it's important we keep our legs open and that pocket open that's gonna be exposed, okay? Made a nice slow turn. Right as I came out of my turn, I was like, this is good. Slowly let up, full flight, and then use that airbag. Man, that airbag, freaking awesome. Didn't feel a rock or a bump on my butt. It felt like I had a little bit of, whether it was like perfectly dead or maybe just a little breath at my back, but I was definitely moving on that landing. So keep that in your mind that you might be traveling just a little fast.
I'm Ryan Short. I've been with CPS for about a year and 3 months now. 2 weeks ago we went to Colorado and did a confined canopy course. That was my first confined canopy anything. Usually I just kind of fly around and hopefully I land in the right area. Doing that confined area course really helped my skill set, learned a bunch more about jumping and canopy flight.
So right here, he's going on a long base leg because he's high, but then he turns in without going into brakes a little too soon. Should have taken out just a little bit more, go into a flat turn, and actually flat turn and do a straight S across the drop zone.
It's braked position, right? What Hunter was talking about. That is not really deep brakes. This position is gonna glide you further. Yeah. So here, maybe just past that nipple height on your chest is where that sweet spot. Good job, Rachel.
And that's because the wind is coming
right off that ridge right here. All that wind's coming up and just giving you, even if it's just a.
I've always wanted to come to Everest just to see it, and now I get to skydive and look around and look at the views, and I'm right next to Everest and Ahmed Blam, so it's a blessing to be here, and I owe it all to CPS and the staff, and I'm very thankful to be here.
Another father-son team on this 2021 CPS expedition was Tom and Ryan, who Tom is a great business partner of ours with Gentex OpsCore, and his son working for CPS as the youngest employee. Ryan actually came through our apprenticeship program, graduated high school, started working around the facility, emptying trash cans, mowing the lawn, and within a year he learns to jump, gets his rigger's ticket, and comes on the expedition with his dad.
Gorkshep Lake Bed was my final jump. It was a super big adrenaline rush, probably the most extreme and hard jump I've ever done. But the CPS staff prepared me to land there, and it all went well. And from Colorado to Saint-Boucher to Ahmed Blam and all the way to Gorkshep is probably my biggest achievement so far in my young life. But it was super fun to do that with the staff that trained me and helped me progress in skydiving, so yeah.
He's our youngest employee, and he made his 75th jump into Gorkshep, right? 75, that's a new record. And then he, as the youngest employee, and me as the oldest employee, were on the same load when we jumped into Gorkshep. I got the spot for him and send him out first. And then Gorkshep, man, it's an epic place because you're surrounded by gnarly stuff. You have to land in the bowl, and the consequences of landing outside of the bowl just aren't good. So you realize that, hey, I've got to be here, to make this work.
If we jumped at these altitudes without oxygen, we would undoubtedly have a variety of problems. And in the extreme, it's possible that someone who was particularly susceptible to hypoxia could become unconscious. What's much more likely is that people perform very badly. They do dangerous things, they don't appreciate danger, they get themselves into difficult scenarios. And that's exactly the opposite of what we need, because this is such a difficult jump. You've got to react to things with really quick reflexes, and hypoxia just takes all that away. MTOS is the culmination of a need. We needed a simple oxygen system for jumping at these modest altitudes. They're not special forces, high altitudes, 35,000 feet, etc. But we definitely needed supplementary oxygen. We also recognized that it needed to be lightweight, robust, it needed to be field serviceable in the Himalayas. And I worked with Ted Atkins of Top Out Oxygen, and we produced Top Out Aero, which is a company that made a system with its heritage in mountaineering, but adapted, tuned, modified over several iterations to perform the way it now does in parachuting. To my knowledge, there's no other oxygen system that's had a design brief to be a parachuting oxygen system, but also offer capability for other applications, particularly high altitude ground elevation. So the example is what we do here. We parachute from high altitude, but we also land at high altitude. And even when people are picking up their parachute and walking back to the helicopter, you know, they get out of breath. And if we can leave oxygen on them, that's great. Fred Williams from CPS had the vision that there is a tactical application for that as well. We can market this system to people who want to be able to insert operatives into high altitude, whether that's by parachute or helicopter, and not succumb to the same problems of both acclimatization or hypoxia, and, you know, crucially get the best performance out of those operatives.
Yeah, so the wind's coming up the head wall. We're a little stronger than I thought. I got out right in front of the head wall, and I probably should have taken it at least another 500 yards. There was really strong breeze back to the drop zone. So the whole time we had to keep our back to the drop zone and face out over the head wall, and just back and forth. And then finally just turn and come in. Really good jump though.
You know, that brings us to what's next. I mean, you know, this is the second expedition in a row where we've proven that we understand the operations, the jump operations in the mountains enough to successfully, you know, put multiple people onto the West Col. So then we have to say, hey, what is next, right? What's capable out there? I think the parachutes are performing beyond our expectations. You know, the partner companies that manufacture those products have really developed some fine products that are actually performing better than I think even the engineers expected. But you know, that's the mentality that we have as a consortium in CPS, is that, you know, we want to build products that we believe, you know, we would put our kids under, right? So we don't back into engineering equations or anything like that. We get out in front of it, we test our products, and then we share that with our clients and make sure that they understand how to properly use that, what techniques work in what scenarios.
It's really good. We just landed. We just came off the LZ a little bit. Cramp on up, eat a little food, drink a little water, and then we'll make our way to the head wall. I'm feeling really good.
Some pretty serious environments with some nice winds, really high elevations. However, it made for a really soft landing on that airbag. Pretty excited about that accomplishment. What's next?
Mars. That's what he wants to see. So, using the MTOS in this way shows how you can insert at significant altitude. We're well above 6,000 meters here. Now we can walk with the benefit of supplementary oxygen. Because we're not in a critical zone, we can take it off the torque, and then the way we've integrated it with the helmets, we can just snap it back on. It does feel nice.
Well, we're a little over halfway, and I've been utilizing the oxygen system pretty much the whole time, so First one of the group to run out of oxygen, sucking her down. But that's why we brought the second cylinder, fully charged, ready to go.
Amazing.
Amazing. There two. Very good. How much fire we got left?
Me, I've got 100 bar.
How much left?
Yeah, but you jumped.
I didn't feel very good.
I didn't either.
So I put the oxygen on, and I felt a load better. It's really weird.
Yeah, I told PK, I was like, dude, I'm not feeling good. He said, mask up.
Yeah.
I put the mask on and I feel fucking loads of difference.
Yeah.
Stand up.
Cool. I'm at the Blown Base Camp. This is West Cole jump team. Hey, Dara.
Where are you guys at?
We're about probably 45 minutes from Barunsi Base Camp.
All good? Everything okay with you guys?
Yep, everything is good.
I'm at the Blown Base Camp.
Hi, Fred. It's Ryan. Yeah, everybody has arrived in Barunsi Base Camp. Everyone is well. The consensus is if extraction is available, we'll take it. If it's not available, then we're very happy to stay. I think the boys would prefer to come and celebrate the team.
Yeah, we prefer to have you guys as well. Right now, Dawa's in the middle of an interview, but I think as soon as we got this confirmation, we were planning on starting to coordinate a pickup.
Too many things to really remember, and you have to be so appreciative of the opportunities we've had. Expedition 2021 for CPS is coming to an end. We did our last day of jumping today. We jumped into the West Cole, which is at 20,400 feet, and there were many notable things that we did. First of all, the jump and trek, like we did with the boys and you guys trekking off of the Cole. So that had been something that we've been trying to do for 6 years. We've been chasing that. So that was a huge accomplishment. Greg, there's only been 9 people in the world land at the West Cole, and Greg has 2 jumps out of the 9 people. So he's king of the Cole right now. That's an awesome thing. Getting to jump with my boys into the Cole that I had never jumped into. So doing it the first time with them, yeah, that'll bring a tear to your eye. There's been a lot of work that went into that one when you think about the boys and where they've come, where they were and where they've come to. Very exciting. I was very proud of what they did. So now I'm excited to think about what we try to do next.